Removal of the trunk lid cylinders is actually a lot easier than is rumored. It's pretty simple if you know how, as many things are. So before we show you the removal directly in the car, let me show you first on a tabletop here, because it's easier to demonstrate without being in the tight corners of the trunk. What I'd like to show you is we have here the right side, passenger side trunk lid cylinder the way it would be removed from the car, meaning when you have it removed from the car it still has a couple hoses attached and it still has a switch assembly attached. Also in this shot here is the left side trunk lid cylinder. I've mounted here on a random piece of metal to demonstrate the ball joint removed from the ball joint in a moment. Let's start out with the right side cylinder. Let's assume you're taking that one off the car first. The way it comes out is, as I said, with two hoses attached. You have the two clips that fasten the hoses. Those are easily removed. You just push fairly hard. Well, I don't want to get my hand in the shot here, so I'll just use two thumbs and push the clip off. You could also use some stronger piece of metal to push them off, but the chances are that they go flying. So if your thumbs are strong enough, just push the clip off. Now you can pull out the hoses. And next is removal of the switch assembly. The switch assembly 171 820 7610 clips onto the right side cylinder. Couple tricks here. One is there's a clasp on top that you want to open up and slide this off the shaft a little bit. Make sure the shaft is slightly extended at this point. Also, if you've just taken the cylinder off the car and you've just taken the hoses off, make sure to cycle the shaft in and out a couple times, because that pushes the fluid out of the cylinder. Otherwise, if you do this, you've got the oil in your face. So, I've removed the upper part of the switch assembly from the shaft. You notice how this clasp goes into a little groove over here. Then we can twist this off the upper hose port and slide up, and the switch assembly is off. Later on, when you install the cylinder, obviously you do this in reverse to put your switch assembly back on. Slide it on the bottom, then secure the upper clasp on the groove in the shaft, click it in place, and you have your cylinder intact. Now let's show you this removal from the ball joint on the random ball joint that I put this left side cylinder on. Note, by the way, that the way Top Hydraulics ships the left side cylinder is with a little brass sleeve on top. That is so you don't mix it up with the right side cylinder. With this brass sleeve in place, you wouldn't be able to mount the switch assembly on here. Makes it easy to recognize. So how do these ball joints work? Let me show you. Maybe we can get a little close up here. The ball joint goes onto a ball that's somehow mounted to the chassis of the car, and well, this would just slide off when there's no tension on this ball joint, if there's random vibration. So the way the ball joint is held in place is with a clip that's going through these slots and then grabbing the ball. This clip does not, and I repeat, does not have to be removed all the way from the ball joint. All you have to do is walk it off the center a little bit, and that's what I'm going to show you next. Reason I'm saying this is it's a bear to put this clip back on. It looks easy, but well, it can be done. It just is a bit of a pain to put the clip back onto the ball joint if you've taken it off all the way. And you don't want to lose this clip because they're hard to come by. So let me show you how I would suggest removing the ball joint from the ball. That is, use an 1/8 inch to 3/16 inch screwdriver, work it under the gap in the rear of this clip. Just keep working it, no major twisting, just work and twist it a little bit to walk this clip off the center of the groove that it's in. Now my table was moving here, and demonstration effect was such that my clip moved back on. This is a stubborn one. So here we go. We have it walked off about 1/8 of an inch. At this point, it's released enough that you can pull the ball joint off the ball. Now, if you try to do it by hand, this pulling the ball joint off the ball in the confined quarters in the trunk, you don't really get a good feel for whether it's going to work or not. One way to do it is use a 5/8 inch open wrench or a hint smaller that fits between the ball joint and the piece of chassis that the cylinder is mounted to, and then you can lever this wrench up instead of levering the wrench. Let me pull this up a little bit, and you feel it when it's easy enough to walk this ball joint off the ball. It does not take much effort. If it's really hard, then you haven't released the clip far enough. Note that this particular clip is a stubborn one. It jumped back into the groove once it was off, so one could walk it off a tad farther, but normally that 1/16 of an inch is good enough. So if you want to be extra sure, walk it off half the way off the groove of this ball joint. Hope that makes sense. Later on, to put the cylinder back onto the ball joint, it's easy. You just push hard enough and it clicks into place. So here we are looking at the left side trunklet cylinder, meaning driver's side in the US, and I'm going to show you quickly how it's done. My hands will get in the way here. Let's see how well I can stay out of the picture here. We need our small screwdriver, small flat screwdriver, and something like a 5/8 inch open wrench as a luxury to remove this part. As I showed earlier, we put the small screwdriver under the ball joint, clip, and walk the clip up a little bit in its groove. I've walked it up about 1/8 of an inch now, and at this point put my wrench or something else. This 5/8 inch wrench just happens to work well in between, and it shouldn't take much effort or leverage to pull the ball joint off. There it goes. I will now slide this shaft towards the outside of the car, and next turn the cylinder counterclockwise. If you were on the other side, you would turn the cylinder clockwise. This gives you a slightly easier access to the clip on the bottom ball joint, and that's a matter of feeling and seeing the clip now. I've done it a couple times, so it's easy for me to find it with this small flat screwdriver. I put the screwdriver in there and walk and fiddle and push until I feel that this ball joint is off the clip. I'm sorry, that the clip is partially off the ball joint. Now, if you can't quite feel that, you could at this point hammer a little bit on the small screwdriver. No need to abuse anything. It doesn't take much, just to make sure your clip has been loosened enough. And now we put our wrench on the bottom here and see if this cylinder will walk off its ball joint. I'm trying hard not to be in the way of the camera. That makes the whole thing a little more awkward, but we should actually be in the right position already. Yep, it's moving. It's just that I can't see anything. Trying not to have my head in the way here. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? I actually need to tilt this cylinder over a little towards the center again, and now the wrench goes in there easily and the cylinder pops off. So again, the trick was to first push the cylinder towards the outside so you have enough room to get your tool in there on the bottom, then pull it towards the center again and the wrench fits easily onto the bottom of the ball joint. Now, I've shown you already previously how to remove and replace the hoses, so now let's act as if this was the rebuilt cylinder from Top Hydraulics, and we just push that one back into place, clip, and the same on the bottom. We're done.